My brother slammed open my bedroom door and said, "Cancel your doctor's appointment and take me to my game." I told him no, and that one word shattered our entire family rhythm. My name is Elena Hart. I'm 28, a graphic designer, and, until this story, an expert in quiet compliance. I'm the kind of older sister who was trained, not verbally but emotionally, to bend first, compromise first, apologize first. My brother Tyler is 22 and has the effortless confidence of someone who grew up believing the world would tilt around his needs. And honestly, for a long time, I helped prove him right. The morning it all happened, the house already felt heavy. That kind of foggy pressure where you know a storm's coming, but everyone's pretending it's a sunny day. I was getting ready for a doctor's appointment, one I'd waited months for, one I needed more than I'd admitted to anyone, when I heard Tyler stomping down the hallway like a marching band in cleats. He didn't knock. He never knocked. The door flew open. "Elena, cancel whatever stupid appointment you have. I need a ride to my game." He tossed this down like a king ordering someone to polish the palace floors. No explanation, no please, no consideration that I might have plans. This was our lifelong rhythm. He demanded. I adjusted. But that morning, my hands froze mid-button on my shirt. Something inside me shifted, like a tiny crack forming in a dam that had held back years of swallowed frustration. "You're not serious," I said. He scoffed. "Coach said if I'm late again, I'm benched. You have to drive me." It was wild how confidently he still assumed that word, have, applied to me. As if I had been born with a contract tattooed on my wrist, property of Tyler's convenience. I told him I had an appointment. He told me he didn't care. Every old pattern urged me to give in, to avoid the argument, to make peace the way I always did, by sacrificing myself a little more. But there's only so many pieces a person can give away before they look down and realize they're almost gone. And for the first time, I felt the edges of myself again. I could feel my pulse in my palms, in my throat, even in my ears. It was like my whole body was bracing for impact. This was the point where I was supposed to fold, where the script said I'd sigh, grab my keys, and rearrange my entire day to keep the peace. But something inside me whispered, not this time. Tyler planted himself in the doorway, arms crossed, already expecting victory. "Elena, let's go. I'm already running behind." I looked at him, really looked. This wasn't just a request. This was 20-something years of entitlement, wearing a hoodie and basketball shorts. This was every time he'd called me dramatic for having my own schedule, every time he'd insisted his needs were automatically more urgent than mine. And I heard myself say it, quiet, steady, unfamiliar. No. The word felt heavy, foreign, like holding a sword I'd never been allowed to touch. Tyler blinked, then laughed like I'd told a joke with poor timing. "Come on, seriously." "I am," I said. He stepped forward. "Elena, this isn't up for debate." "It is," I replied. "I'm not canceling my appointment." He stared at me like I'd just broken a family heirloom. His shock quickly melted into annoyance, then real anger. "Why are you being like this?" There it was, the classic redirect. Don't look at his demand. Look at my audacity in having a boundary. "You always drive me," he snapped. "You know how important this is." "And my appointment isn't?" "Yours can wait," he shouted. "Mine actually matters." He said it with such certainty, as if it were an objective truth written into the laws of physics. In that moment, the final pieces slid into place. Tyler didn't see me as a person with needs, just an extension of his schedule. I straightened, meeting his glare without flinching. "My life doesn't pause for yours anymore." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was sharp, electric, dangerous. Tyler looked like he'd just discovered gravity wasn't real. And for the first time, I didn't look away. Tyler's voice shot up an octave, the way it did whenever reality dared to contradict him. "You're actually serious? You're going to screw up my game because of some checkup?" My jaw tightened. Yes. He threw his hands into the air like he was signaling to invisible referees. "Do you even hear yourself? This is selfish, Elena." Selfish. The irony nearly knocked me over. For years, I'd been the default chauffeur, the emergency backup plan, the person who rearranged her life so he didn't have to take responsibility for his. But the second I prioritized myself once, I was selfish. He stormed down the hall, yelling for Mom. I followed, not to escalate, but because I already knew how this played out. Tyler would complain, exaggerate, twist details, and Mom, out of habit, not cruelty, would urge me to help your brother just this once, as if once didn't mean every time. Mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "What's going on?" Tyler jumped in. "She's refusing to drive me. I'm going to get benched because of her stupid appointment." I inhaled, slow, controlled. "Mom, I told him I can't. I have something important today." Mom sighed, the kind of sigh that carried years of expectation. "Elena, sweetie, Tyler's game." "Mom," I cut in gently, "my appointment matters too." Tyler scoffed loudly. "Oh, please. It's not like she's dying." "Tyler," Mom snapped, though her eyes flicked back to me with that pleading look. "Can't you just make this easy?" And there it was, the unspoken rule of our household. Peace was maintained by my compliance. But that system only worked when the cost was invisible, and I wasn't invisible anymore. "I'm still not going," I said quietly. Tyler threw a full-body tantrum. Not tears, rage, pure disbelief that the universe dared deny him. He grabbed his gym bag, stomped toward the door, then spun back dramatically. "Fine, if I get benched, it's on you." For the first time in my life, his guilt trip didn't land. I felt steady. He slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. And Mom turned to me with a look I'll never forget. Half confusion, half realization that the balance of our home had shifted. The house fell quiet after Tyler left. The kind of quiet that feels like a paused movie. Everything still, waiting, suspended. I grabbed my coat, my bag, and my breath, then headed to my car. The drive to the clinic felt surreal. My hands trembled on the wheel, not from fear, but from the weight of what had just happened. Saying no shouldn't feel revolutionary, but for me, it was. I'd kept this appointment secret, not because it was dramatic, but because it was mine. A rare thing, a precious thing, something I didn't want talked over, minimized, or overshadowed by someone else's crisis. When I checked in, the receptionist smiled warmly. "Here for your results?" I nodded. This wasn't a casual checkup. This was a follow-up for something I'd been monitoring quietly for months. Nothing life-threatening, nothing urgent, but something important enough that a delay would have set back an entire treatment timeline. Something I hadn't shared with my family because I wanted one corner of my life free from commentary. When the doctor stepped in, I braced for the usual, but instead she smiled. "Good news," she said. "Your numbers have improved significantly. The changes you've made are working." Relief washed over me like warm sunlight. I hadn't realized how tightly I'd been holding my breath these past few weeks. We talked through next steps, adjustments, follow-ups. Normal medical things. Nothing dramatic, nothing that needed to become a family saga, but still deeply meaningful to me. Something that mattered in a way Tyler never even considered I could matter. As I left, I checked my phone. 9 missed texts from Mom, 5 from Tyler. I ignored them. In the car, I sat for a long moment, letting the victory settle. Not just the good news, but the fact that I'd chosen myself today, that I hadn't let guilt derail something essential. And as I started the engine, I knew the real battle still waited at home. But for once, I didn't dread returning. I felt ready. When I got home, Tyler was already there, pacing the living room, red-faced and vibrating with accusation. Mom hovered near him, trying to calm him down. The second he saw me, he exploded. "Are you happy? Coach benched me. I hope your appointment was worth ruining my season." His season, his future, his narrative. It always came back to him. I closed the door gently behind me. "I'm sorry that happened," I said, "but it wasn't my responsibility to prevent it." Tyler's jaw dropped. "Are you serious?" Mom stepped in. "Elena, maybe you could have compromised." "No," I said, calmly but firmly. "I'm done being the default solution whenever Tyler forgets to plan his life." Mom blinked, startled by my tone. Tyler scoffed. "So what was this so important appointment? If you're going to be dramatic about it, at least tell us." I met his stare. "It's private." He laughed cruelly. "See? You just wanted to make today about you." The thing is, he wasn't entirely wrong. Today was about me. For once. "Tyler," I said, "I'm allowed to prioritize myself." "No, you're not," he snapped. "Not when it screws me over." Mom gasped. "Tyler!" But Tyler was too far into his spiral to hear her. "You owe me. I've always depended on you." And there it was, his truth. Not gratitude, not partnership, dependence rooted in entitlement. "I don't owe you my life," I said softly. "Not anymore." That hit him. For the first time, he looked unsure, small even. I continued. "I'm happy to help when I can, but not when it requires erasing myself." Mom stepped closer. "Elena, why didn't you tell us about your appointment?" "Because it was mine," I said. "Just mine. And I wanted to protect it from becoming something to negotiate around." The room fell silent. Tyler looked away first, and in that moment, the power dynamic that had ruled our home for years cracked clean down the middle. The days that followed felt oddly lighter, like the air had stretched open. Tyler avoided me at first, nursing his bruised ego, shifting awkwardly around the new shape of our relationship. Mom approached me 2 days later. "I didn't realize how much pressure we put on you," she admitted. "I'm sorry." It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Tyler, though? His change came slowly. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by me. But the next weekend, when he needed a ride to the store, he didn't shout for me. He knocked on my door. "Hey," he muttered, "I'm heading out. Can you take me? If not, I'll Uber." It was clumsy, half-grown, but it was a start. "I can," I said, "but thanks for asking." That became our new rhythm, asking instead of assuming, respect instead of expectation. And for me, choosing myself once made it easier to keep choosing myself. I stopped rearranging my life to be convenient for everyone else. I set boundaries at work too. I stopped apologizing for existing. A single no had rewritten years of habit. Sometimes standing up for yourself doesn't look glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet, shaky, uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like you're tearing down a house you helped build. But what rises in its place is yours. I didn't cancel my appointment that day. I canceled a role I'd been forced to play. And in doing so, I finally got my life back.